Have you ever wondered why the same kind of pain keeps showing up in your life just with different faces, different situations, and different years? Why is it that no matter how much time passes, certain wounds still hurt, still control your choices, still define how you see yourself? This video isn't just another motivational talk, it's a mirror, a raw, honest reflection of the real reason behind your suffering. Not the event that broke you, but the story you built around it, the identity you created to survive it, and the unconscious patterns that keep dragging you back into the same cycle. We're going deep, deeper than most are willing to go. We'll uncover how your ego keeps you trapped in a victim narrative, why your unhealed inner child sabotages love and opportunity, and how repressed pain quietly shapes every decision you make. But here's the good news. You can break the cycle, not by pretending it didn't happen, but by finally learning how to transform your pain into power. Stay until the end, not for me, but for you. Because when you finish this video, you won't just understand your suffering, you'll finally know what to do with it. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. Take a deep breath, because in just a few minutes, we're going to walk into a place most people spend their entire lives running from. We're about to peel back a layer of your soul that you've likely kept buried for years, maybe even decades. This isn't the part of you that posts inspirational quotes or tells the world you're fine. No. This is the part that secretly, quietly, still craves the same pain it says it wants to escape. We're going to talk about the unconscious, the shadow realm of your inner world, the haunting echo of your past that keeps whispering the same old story, no matter how many times you swear you're ready for a new chapter. It's the reason you keep stepping into the same heartbreak, the same emotional wounds, the same hollowness, even though your mouth keeps saying, "I just want to heal." And yet, in that strange, dark space, right there is the beginning of your real power. Not the surface-level strength that says, "I'm fine, I've moved on," but the raw, sacred power that comes from understanding why you're still hurting and how to finally stop. You don't want to suffer, God knows. None of us do. And yet, how many times have you found yourself weeping over different faces, different years, different places, only to realize the story is exactly the same? You fall for someone who makes you feel invisible. You bend over backwards for someone who gives you crumbs. You get close to someone who makes you bleed, and then back away from someone who could hold your hand with grace. Why? It's not random. It's not bad luck. And no, it's not just fate playing games with your heart. It's your unconscious mind quietly replaying a script it learned long before you knew how to defend yourself. Carl Jung once said something that hit me like a lightning bolt. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And that's exactly what we do. We call it fate when someone leaves us, when love feels just out of reach, when joy slips through our fingers. But it's not fate. It's programming. Programming that was installed in us when we were too young to know what love really was, too defenseless to say, "This isn't love. This is pain." Maybe you grew up in a home where affection was conditional, where love came with strings attached, where silence was used as punishment, and approval was earned, never given. Maybe you were taught, "Don't cry," or "Don't embarrass me," or the most soul-wounding of all, "If you don't do what I say, I don't love you." And those weren't just painful words. They were blueprints, emotional maps, etched into your nervous system. Today, whenever life puts you in a similar position, your unconscious takes the wheel. You think you're choosing your relationships, your friends, your paths, but you're not. You're reenacting a play written by a frightened child who just wanted to feel safe. The truth is heartbreaking. Your unconscious isn't looking for what heals you. It's looking for what's familiar. If abandonment was part of your early love story, that's what your inner compass will keep steering you toward. If rejection was a daily emotional meal, You'll find yourself feeding on it long into adulthood, even as you scream, "I just want to be loved." Changing jobs, partners, zip codes, it won't fix the script, because the pattern isn't outside of you. It's within. And the only way to rewrite it is to sit down with your pain and say, "I see you. I'm ready to understand you." That requires brutal honesty. Ask yourself, what is the one emotion that's followed me my entire life? Not the one you post about, not the one you let others see. The real one. The one that creeps in at night, when you're alone. Is it shame? Is it loneliness? Is it feeling invisible? Never quite enough? Always on the outside, looking in? That emotion is the root. It's the engine driving the self-sabotage, the broken relationships, the missed opportunities. And unless you face it with open eyes and a tender heart, you'll keep dragging it into every new experience, like a ghost haunting your every move. And here's the part that brings tears to my eyes. That wounded child, the one who was so small, so eager to be seen, so desperate to be held, that child is still inside you. If you don't recognize them, they'll be the one choosing who you love, what you pursue, how you live. Not out of joy, but out of fear, out of lack, out of a desperate plea to be loved in a way you never were. That's the raw truth behind self-sabotage. You get close to something good, and something in you panics. You pull away. You push it away. You start sabotaging before it can fall apart on its own. Because deep down, you believe you don't deserve good things. That love is dangerous. That success is fleeting. Why? Because to accept joy would mean letting go of the identity you've held for years, the unloved one, the betrayed one, the one life forgot. That role has hurt you, yes, but it also gave you a strange sense of safety. It gave your pain a home. And the ego would rather live in painful certainty than risk the unknown of freedom. Here's the hard, bitter truth that most people never talk about. Your unconscious doesn't care about your happiness. It cares about coherence. It wants your outer life to match the inner narrative you've always believed. So when something good shows up, it feels wrong. That's why we say things like, "It always ends this way. I knew I'd get hurt again. I guess I'm just not meant to be happy." But it's not life doing this to you. It's you, your younger self, repeating what it was taught. And if you don't break that spell, you will live and die as the version of yourself that they built, not the one you were born to become. Please hear me when I say this. Your suffering isn't new. It's not even about the person who broke your heart last month, or the opportunity that slipped through your fingers. It's old. It's ancestral. It's ancient. It's a wound carried through time, through generations, waiting for you to be the one brave enough to say, "No more." Yes, it will hurt to look inward. Yes, it will sting to admit that you've also been your own jailer. But behind that pain, there is a wild, liberating, breathtaking freedom, a kind of peace that can't be shaken, a love that comes from wholeness, not from need. And that is where your healing truly begins. Now comes the turning point, one of the hardest, yet most liberating truths you'll ever face. We're going to talk about the ego, that cunning, manipulative part of you that clings to your suffering like it's a crown, the part that wraps itself in your wounds and wears them like badges of honor, the voice that whispers, "You're right to feel this way. You've been wronged. They don't deserve your forgiveness." But here's the raw, unfiltered truth. That voice, it's not your friend. It's not your protector. It's your jailer, and it's kept you locked in the same emotional cell for far too long. Get ready, because this next chapter in your healing isn't about rehashing what they did to you. It's about daring to see what you've been doing to yourself. That might sound harsh, but I promise you, it's not cruelty, it's the doorway to freedom. The ego is seductive. It makes you feel justified in your pain. It wraps itself around sentences like, They shouldn't have treated me like that. This isn't fair. After everything I didn't deserve this. And every time you repeat those words, the ego smiles, because it's being fed. It makes you feel strong in your victimhood. It tells you that holding on to the story is a form of power. That if you let go, you're weak. That if you stop dwelling on what happened, you're letting them off too easy. But the truth is, as long as you cling to that story, you're the one who stays imprisoned. The ego doesn't want you to heal, not because it's evil, but because healing would mean it loses control. Healing would mean shedding the identity it spent years crafting. And the ego is terrified of not being needed. It wants to keep the pain alive, because that pain has become its identity. Carl Jung nailed it with chilling precision. The mind that creates the problem cannot be the one to solve it. And the ego, your wounded mind, is the one that created the problem. It wrote the script. It built the character you've been playing. The betrayed one, the abandoned one, the one who never got chosen. And now it wants to keep the show running. Not because it leads to healing, but because it craves continuity. The ego doesn't want a new ending. It wants the comfort of a story it already knows. It whispers lies like, if you let this go, you lose all your dignity. If you forgive them, you're weak. If you walk away, you're admitting they won. But that's not truth. That's manipulation, because the actual soul-shaking truth is this. As long as you're clinging to that story, you're losing something far more sacred than your dignity. You're losing yourself. The ego feeds off drama. It needs comparison, conflict, wounds that never scab over. It wants to scratch the same scar every single day, so it can remind you, see, you're still bleeding, you're still broken, and the more you buy into that lie, the deeper the identity becomes. You stop being you and start being the one who was betrayed, the one no one stayed for, the one who wasn't enough. You become the pain, and that, right there, is the prison, not the suffering itself, but the identity built around it. As long as you believe someone else has to validate your pain before you can heal, you will remain chained to your own suffering. Because the ego doesn't just want justice, it wants revenge, acknowledgement, closure. It waits for someone to say, you were right, I was wrong. But here's the brutal, holy truth. No one is coming to save you. And that isn't some cruel punishment from the universe. It's the most powerful gift you'll ever receive. Because if you are the only one who can break the cycle, then you hold the key. That's not punishment, that's freedom. That's power. The ego wants you to keep waiting to sit in the shadows, clinging to pain, holding out for an apology, a grand explanation, a perfect ending. But healing doesn't need anyone else's permission. It only needs your decision. You don't need closure. You don't need them to understand. You don't need justice to be served before you move on. You just need to wake up and say, I've lived this story long enough. It's time to write a new one. Right now, yes. Right now, take a deep breath. Breathe into that place where the story lives, the place that still aches. Now, think of someone you love, someone you see trapped in their own cycle, repeating their pain, defending their sadness like it's all they have left. Maybe they can't say it out loud, but they're aching for a word of truth, a flicker of light, a reminder that they are more than what happened to them. Share this with them. Not to save them, you can't do that, but because sometimes a single soul-shaking word said at the right time can unlock a prison door that's been rusted shut for years. Now, let's come back. You're ready for the next step. How do you dismantle the ego? Not with force, not with shame, not with judgment, with awareness, with presence, with deep, compassionate observation. The next time that familiar voice rises inside you, the one that says the world is unfair, that you've been wronged, that no one understands you, pause. Don't follow it. Just watch it. Observe it like a cloud drifting by. Say to yourself, there's my ego again, fighting for control, begging me to relive the pain. That's your first victory. Next, starve the story. Stop feeding the movie in your mind, the one you've replayed 1,000 times. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the loss. Ask yourself with brutal honesty, does this story give me strength, or does it weaken me? If it weakens you, it's time to let it go. And finally, do the thing your ego cannot fathom. Respond with stillness. The ego thrives on noise, drama, reactions. But when you respond with silence, with presence, with surrender, something sacred happens. You reclaim your power. You surrender not to life, but to the illusion that you must control it. And in that surrender, you will find something the ego could never give you: peace. Would you like me to continue with the final transformation, how to live from the soul instead of the ego? When you finally step out of the role your ego has assigned you, when you stop clinging to the version of yourself who needs to be pitied, defended, or proven right, something radical happens. You are no longer the victim of your story. You become its author. You begin to write new pages, not from pain, not from fear, not from the scars of yesterday, but from the sacred power of your present awareness. You stop needing to win arguments. You stop scanning the horizon for someone to blame. You stop holding your peace hostage until someone else changes. Why? Because you realize a truth that most people never even get close to in their lifetime. Suffering didn't come from what happened. It came from the meaning your ego gave it, from the narrative it weaved, from the way it etched that moment into your identity until you believed that pain was you. But hear me now. You are not your suffering. You are not your past. You are not that fragile voice whispering that you're forever doomed to be broken, unloved, or misunderstood. No, you are the soul who can rise up in a whisper and say with trembling courage, no more. And in that quiet act of rebellion, the ego trembles because you've stopped feeding it. And when you stop feeding it, you starve the illusion. And when the illusion dies, you awaken. But we're not done yet. No, there's something even deeper that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Something that stings, something that pierces, but also something that frees. We're going to talk about the pain. Not the pain that's printed in your memories, not the one attached to names and dates and old messages, but the pain that's still alive inside of you. The ache you carry in your chest when no one's watching. The invisible weight behind your smile. The heartbreak you've camouflaged as ambition, control, or having it all together. We are going to walk into that sacred wound, not to reopen it, but to finally feel it. Let's be honest. From childhood, we were taught to run from pain. Don't cry. Be strong. Shake it off. Stop being so sensitive. Smile through it. We weren't taught to feel. We were taught to perform. We learned that vulnerability made us less lovable. That to be emotional was to be weak. That if we admitted it hurt, we'd lose our worth. So what did we do? We stuffed it down. We silenced the scream. We turned our tears inward. But nobody told us this part repressed pain doesn't go away. It festers. It burrows deep. It morphs into anxiety, into depression, into self-sabotage and sudden outbursts we can't explain, into that ache in your chest that shows up in the quietest moments. As the old saying goes, what you resist persists. Every time you pretend you're fine while your soul is breaking, you give that pain more power. Every time you deny it, you strengthen its grip. Every time you bury it, it becomes the architect of your patterns. Carl Jung, so painfully accurate, once again reminded us that true awakening doesn't come from imagining the light. It comes from making the darkness conscious. Your darkness is not shameful. It is sacred. It is the part of you that has carried your silence, your buried screams, your unanswered prayers. And it is not here to destroy you. It is here to complete you. That's why it hurts so much, because it holds every part of you that never got to breathe. The sadness you choked back, the anger you disguised as politeness, the guilt you tucked away beneath perfection, the fear you masked with confidence. And in today's loud, chaotic world, we are encouraged to numb, to distract ourselves with scrolling, with shopping, with busyness, to fill every silence with noise, to escape every stillness with another dopamine hit. But here's the brutal truth. You are not busy, you are hiding. And that's okay. We all do it. But pain doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. It doesn't vanish just because we pretend. It waits quietly, faithfully, until we're finally ready to come home to it. That's why you can go months, even years, appearing fine until one quiet night alone, and suddenly it all comes rushing back. The loneliness, the grief, the emptiness. The question, why do I still feel this way? Here's why. Because pain doesn't heal by being avoided. It heals by being held. Not with violence, not with shame, but with presence. Healing begins the moment you stop fighting what you feel. The moment you stop saying, I shouldn't feel this way. The moment you stop pretending nothing is wrong. The most courageous thing you can do is feel it all, without judgment, without apology, without needing to fix it in 5 minutes. Let yourself break if you need to. Let the tears fall if they must. Because every time you stay present in your pain, every time you sit with yourself in the mess instead of fleeing, you are breaking an ancient pattern. Right now, do this with me. Close your eyes. Bring your awareness into your body. Where is the emotion hiding? Is it in your chest? Tight and heavy? In your throat? Burning like unspoken words? In your stomach? Churning like old shame? Don't try to label it. Just observe it. Breathe into that space. Let your breath cradle the pain like a mother holds her child. Don't push it away. Don't fix it. Just be with it. With every breath, you weaken the ego's grip. With every breath, you whisper to your soul, I'm here. I'm listening. That's how you reclaim your power. Not through control, not through pretending, but through radical, soul-deep acceptance. Acceptance is not giving up. Acceptance is not defeat. Acceptance is saying, this is real, this hurts, and I don't have to run anymore. And here's the part I want you to tattoo on your heart. No emotion lasts forever. Not sadness, not rage, not heartbreak, not fear. They all pass. They all shift. They all transform if you're willing to feel them. Look back for a moment. Think of that time you thought you'd never survive, that heartbreak that shattered you, that loss that took your breath away, and yet you're still here. Maybe bruised, maybe softer, maybe with a few more cracks in your armor, but also more real, more awake, and perhaps for the first time in a long time, more like yourself. Would you like me to continue with the next step in this journey? How to use this emotional rebirth to live from your soul, not your scars? When you finally stop running from your pain, when you sit with it, hold it, breathe with it, it begins to shift. It softens. It speaks. And if you listen with a quiet heart, you'll hear something life-changing. Pain, when faced with presence, becomes wisdom. When you stop avoiding it, stop numbing it, stop fighting it, it doesn't break you. It reveals you, and in that sacred unveiling, the real journey begins. Not just the end of suffering, but the birth of power. Not the kind of power that dominates or controls, but the kind that radiates from within, the power that comes from having walked through the fire and still choosing to love, to trust, to rise. Because yes, your wound can become your engine, your shadow can become your light. And what shattered you, it can be the very thing that remakes you. There is a moment, subtle but irreversible, that arrives on every awakened soul's path, a moment where something inside you quiets. You stop needing to run. You no longer flinch at the past. You stop clinging to the victim's script you once rehearsed so fluently. And then the miracle happens. The wound transforms. The ache that once tortured you becomes your teacher. The betrayal that once broke you becomes your compass. And what once looked like the end of everything reveals itself as a divine beginning. Carl Jung called this inner shift alchemy, and no one understood the soul's journey better. In ancient times, alchemists sought to turn lead into gold, but Jung knew the truth, that transformation isn't physical, it's spiritual. The lead is your shame, your pain, your grief. The gold is the self that emerges when you stop hiding from it and instead ask, what can I do with this? What can I build from this ruin? Healing isn't pretending you're fine. It's not slapping positivity over open wounds. It's not suppressing the hurt with a smile. Healing is gritty. It's sacred. It's messy and miraculous. It's looking at the parts of yourself that hurt the most and saying, I will make something beautiful from this. The strongest people I know, those who radiate peace, who move through life with soft power and quiet confidence, they didn't get that way because they were spared. They got that way because they endured. Because every time life burned them to the ground, they asked, what can rise from these ashes? And that's the difference. Not between those who suffer and those who don't, because we all suffer, but between those who use suffering as a prison and those who use it as a portal. You get to choose which path you walk. There's something known as the dark night of the soul. Jung described it as the moment when your old life collapses, when everything you thought was secure, your roles, your relationships, your identity falls apart, and you're left naked in the dark, unsure of who you are anymore. But that night isn't a punishment. It's a passage. It's the death of the false self and the birth of who you were always meant to become. Every loss, every heartbreak, every fall you thought would ruin you, if you look closely, also woke something up inside of you. Something that refused to settle. Something that wanted more. Something that whispered, there has to be a deeper way to live. That's transformation. And though the pain nearly broke you, it also brought you here to this sacred moment of awareness, of choice, of soul-level courage. So I invite you to look back, not with resentment, but with reverence. Ask yourself, what version of me was born after each fall? Were you softer? Were you wiser? Were you more rooted in truth? I'm willing to bet, yes. Here's the choice that changes everything. You can keep using your pain as proof that life is unfair, or you can use it as the fire that forges the next version of you, the one who trusts deeper, loves stronger, and walks lighter. Right now, bring to mind that one piece of pain you've been dragging like a heavy chain. That betrayal, that loss, that mistake that still stings. The story you keep replaying in your mind like an old song you don't even like anymore. Don't ignore it. Don't numb it. Transform it. Reclaim it. Turn it into something sacred. Let your pain be your initiation. Let it be your rebirth. Stop telling your story from the wound. Start telling it from the wisdom. Don't say, they hurt me. Say, I learned to protect my peace. Don't say, they left me. Say, I learned how to never abandon myself again. Don't say, they didn't love me. Say, I discovered the kind of love I deserve. Your story is powerful. And the way you tell it becomes the way you live it. Your words shape your identity. And your identity shapes your destiny. So, speak power into your pain. Speak possibility into your past. Speak purpose into every scar. Let every sleepless night, every silent tear, every moment you thought you wouldn't survive, become the fuel for your rising. Do this for you. Do it for the child inside you who once felt forgotten. Do it for the version of you who kept getting up, even with broken knees and a trembling heart. Do it for the person you're still becoming. Because beneath the story of pain, there is a deeper story of power. And today is the day you decide to tell that one. Because let's be clear, you are not your trauma. You are not your past. You are not the story of abandonment betrayal or brokenness that you were handed like a script someone else wrote for your life, you are the one who gets to alchemize it. You are the one who can turn that heavy, aching lead into radiant gold. And when you do, the world feels it. They may not know what changed. They may not have the language to describe it, but they notice. Your energy shifts. It becomes rooted. Your gaze deepens. It no longer looks to others for approval. Your presence grows steady, like someone who's weathered storms and no longer fears the wind. Your voice softens, but becomes truer, because you're no longer speaking from wounds, but from wisdom. You no longer react from pain. You respond from a place of deep, earned understanding. You stop defining yourself by what others did to you and start defining yourself by what you chose to do with it. And that is freedom. Not the kind that's handed to you, but the kind that rises from within. The kind you claim through blood, breath, tears, and truth. Because when you walk through your pain without escaping it, without numbing it, without blaming the world for giving you a difficult hand, something holy happens. You're not the same anymore, and you don't need anyone to tell you that. You can feel it in your bones. You don't flinch the way you used to. You don't beg the world to give you back what it stole. You stop trying to convince people to see you, to love you, to apologize. Why? Because now you remember, you were never just here to survive. You were born to choose your thoughts, to choose your healing, to choose your future. That word choice, it used to feel like a fantasy, like something reserved for other people. But now it's your right. And the beautiful soul-altering truth is this: you no longer choose from fear. You no longer choose from the void. You no longer chase connection to feel loved. You create connection because you are love. You start setting boundaries, not from anger, but from clarity. You say no, not with guilt, but with peace. You walk away from what drains you, not with drama, but with grace. Because you now understand one of life's most powerful lessons: you are responsible for what you allow, not responsible for the harm others caused, not for the stories you were born into, but for what you carry, what you continue, and what you transform. Responsibility isn't a punishment, it's power. It's looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I don't need 1,000 excuses, I just need one decision. What comes next is up to me. And when you say that, when you mean it, you're reborn, not as someone brand new, but as the version of yourself you've been waiting to meet your whole life. The version that's been whispering beneath all the pain, I'm still here, come back to me. Carl Jung called it the process of individuation, the sacred soul deep journey of becoming who you truly are. Beneath the masks, the labels, the expectations, the fear, individuation isn't about perfection. It's about truth. It's about integrity, alignment. It's when your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions finally move as one, not because you're trying to fit in or earn love, but because you finally stopped betraying yourself. And when you live from that place, it's felt. People feel your energy before you speak. They see the calm in your silence. They sense that you no longer need to defend, explain, or prove yourself because your worth no longer lives out there. It lives within. And that is the most precious gift pain can offer, a reconnection with your essence. You stop living for applause. You stop giving just to be needed. You stop asking for permission to exist. You simply become. You create a life not perfect, but real. A life of honest choices, of sacred no's and soul-affirming yeses, of people who uplift rather than drain, spaces that nourish instead of suffocate. Because you've realized what you spent years searching for, outside peace, worth, love, belonging, could only ever be built within. And then something beautiful happens. Almost quietly, you stop needing revenge. You stop waiting for closure. You stop hoping the world will give back what it took. You stop waiting, and you start moving. Not because the pain disappeared, but because it no longer owns you. And that's when it happens. A sacred fire lights inside of you. Not a flame that screams for attention, but a steady, quiet certainty. A strength that stands tall without needing a stage. A peace that doesn't need applause to be real. You are no longer the one waiting for life to change. You are the one choosing the direction of your evolution. You are no longer reacting to life, you are creating it. And that is real power. Would you like me to continue with a powerful closing message, a final awakening for the soul? So, take a breath. Sit with everything you've just heard. You've walked through the fire, through shadow and silence, through pain and power, and now you've arrived at a new threshold, the place where real transformation begins. Not from pretending, not from avoiding, but from choosing. Let me ask you this. What did you learn about yourself today? What part of your story, your pain, your truth, did this message awaken? Was it the realization that you are not your past? That pain, when faced with awareness, becomes wisdom? That you no longer need to wait? You can choose to rise now? I want to hear from you. Comment below and share just one insight that touched your heart. One truth you're ready to carry forward into your life starting today. Maybe it's a new boundary you'll honor. Maybe it's a story you'll finally rewrite. Maybe it's the decision to stop running from your pain and start learning from it. Your words matter. Your healing matters. And your courage to speak might just inspire someone else to take their first step too. If you liked this video, please leave your comment below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us reach more hearts, more souls, and create more space for deep healing and truth. You are not alone in this journey. You are not broken. You are becoming. And that is the most powerful thing of all. Until next time, keep rising, keep healing, keep choosing.